All right, everybody, welcome back to the Xavier Klein Coaching Journey series here on Madden 25. We are in the off season here of the 2024 season now, heading towards this off season. What are we going to do? How are we going to build this team up? And, heading to the draft. It is not going to be an easy series because this team is horrendous. We're just going to have to figure out how to build it up, man, and work through it here. The Dolphins are not a great team. They got a lot of weapons. It's kind of crazy. It's like, I guess how you can compare it is like putting an engine of a Ferrari inside a 92 Toyota Tercel when it comes to this offense. So much horsepower everywhere except up front. Like, just a horrendous freaking chassis, dude. Like, you always got to build the trenches, and this is really bad. So there's going to be a lot of decisions that have to be made here to see how we're going to build this team up and where we make it up. The defensive side, I see it right now. We got decent players, but they're just all injured. Chubb, I'm a big fan of, but it's like, what do you do with someone like Bradley Chubb, right? He's out for the next 18 weeks. You can't trade him. He's got a really big contract for another 3 more years or 2 more years, however you can kind of put it. You got another cat right here in Jalen Phillips who has all the potential in the world, but the guy continues to get hurt, and it's not like it was a surprise. He had that injury concern in the last, in his college career. So do you let a man like that go? And you might have to with where we're at with this stuff because this team needs a lot. The D-line is horrendous. You got guys that are they're football players, but there's really nothing there. Ramsey's and Kahu are pretty good, but you don't have a number 2. Do you keep Ramsey, right? There's talks in real life that Ramsey wants to leave the Dolphins. He doesn't like McDaniels, but he did get a big extension, and the way I kind of look at it is, hey, can we convince him to stay? Because if we don't, it's going to cost us more money to let him go and go play for another team than it would be if we were to keep him. So we're going to have to figure all that stuff out there. I think it would cost us, we would have like closer to 60 million in a cap hit this season, which that would eat up our entire free agent situation there. So this is not great. If you did the same thing for Tyreek Hill, it would probably obliterate us as well. This is another guy that's just, these guys are just headaches, but you got to figure it out. Like you either bite the bullet now or you bite it later and try to kick the can down the road and hope it works out. And those 2 players are still very good, but I got to figure out, could we move on from them? Could we send them somewhere maybe where they want to go? But it's time for us to kind of move on and kind of bring in some of the youth. Certain players like Javon Holland, I'm going to let walk because, he's on my favorite team, the New York Football Giants. Hoyer's probably not going to be here. So we got a lot of work to do on this team. Looking forward to it, though. I love the challenge here in the Dolphins, especially playing with a left-handed QB. That's going to be fun, and hopefully that'll work out for us. So we're going to go ahead and advance, head to the reside period, and let's see what we can do. So this team is ridiculous. They have 33 players that have to be re-signed. That is crazy. We got $32 million only in cap space as well. So we're hurting everywhere. And I think this is where you're just going to have to let certain guys go and just lean into the players that you'd like to keep. Now, Jordan Poyer is not a bad player, right? He's a 77 overall. He's 34 years old. His speed isn't there, but, his play rec and everything are. And when you have someone like Poyer, could you build him up? Could you let him could he help build up a future safety in your setup? Maybe that could be something there. Braxton Berrios, we're gonna let him go. Robert Jones, 26 years old. Think about that. Anthony Schwartz, we'll let him go. Tyler Huntley, I think you want to look at a backup there. I just don't think we have the money. If you're going to bring a backup, you're probably going to have to draft one. You look at Isaiah Wynn. This is another guy, like, he's the best O-line that you have on the team. He's 29 years old, but do you keep him around? And he's got injury issues, so it's like, man, do you just kind of let him go and just go, hey, we're probably going to have to build through the draft in the O-line? It's kind of nuts. Anthony Walker, 30 years old. If you let go of Dotson, you're probably going to have to figure out how to fill that spot later on. Like, this is insane. Dean Eskridge, he was a Seahawk at one point. He's asking for a lot of money. He doesn't want to be there. Braden Daniels. So I'm actually a fan of Braden Daniels coming out of the draft. I thought he played pretty well. Got cut and stuff. When he gets injured, it's rough, but he's got decent awareness to him. And I'm wondering, okay, you know, is that enough to sacrifice? With Teron Armstead getting injured, or retiring, excuse me, you got to figure, is that it for him? Izukanma doesn't want to play for us. That's the thing too. Jackson Carman. With some of these players, like, you can't even take a chance on them because they don't want to play for us. And the ones that do want to play for you, you don't really want them, right? Like, you got a running game where you're just like cool with it. And then everybody else, this is just insane. Liam Eichenberg, I mean, he's an okay player, but do we want to spend $1 million in cap space to bring him in? Like, if we do it, like, I'm willing to give him like a half of that. So he's gonna test it. Like, we don't have a lot of money, man. Benito Jones, this guy's just like a space eater right here, like the way you can handle the line. But is that enough for us? I don't think so. I mean, maybe you can try to give him like a 2-year, like if we gave him maybe that $2.3 million for 2 years. We don't have much in front of him, and it's not much. That's more of a depth piece there. So that's our first signing, is freaking Benito. That's hilarious. What else we got here? You're looking at Tyus Bowser, Emmanuel Ogba, Jack Stoll, Cam Brown, like Duke Riley. Oh my gosh, dude. Dude, the Dolphins are bad. Oh my gosh. I don't even know who I would keep here. Like, only one I'm willing to sign for a decent contract is probably Kadir Kaho. He's a really good slot. So I'm wondering if we gave him like $5 million, that work out? Yeah, see? We got him for a cheap deal. 3-year deal for $5 million. I think that works out there. We got $25 million left in cap space. I think that is pretty much it, folks. We can't really do anything. We signed 2 players. We got a lot of space that we're going to have to deal with now. There's going to be some practice squad players going off here too, which is kind of insane. We're going to head to the free agency now, and let's see what's out there. So as far as the free agents are concerned, right, there's you got players like Chardavius Ward, Trent Brown. Let's just go by the QBs. Sam Darnold, Russell Wilson, Mac Jones, Jameis Winston, Derek Carr. Looks like he got cut by the Saints. They kind of bit the bullet there. Halfbacks, you got Dobbins, Kamara gets cut by the Saints. Jalen Warren, Jordan Mason, Mitchell and Akers. Wide receivers, Cooper, Hopkins, Shaheed, Mike Williams is out there. You got Lockett, Slayton, Juju Smith-Schuster. Yeah, there's some okay players there. On the tight end side, Gesicki, Ertz, Hooper, Mo Alley Cox, Tremble is pretty good. Granson's not bad. My goodness, we need some work here. Albert Okwuegbunam, Herb Smith Jr. Golly. Tackles, Bakhtiari still wanting to play. You got Cam Robinson. Jedrick Wills is out there. It's time to try to see, like, could we bring him in? He's young and he can work out for us. You got Jalen Moore out there. Josh Jones. Left guard, Tevin Jenkins is the big dog there. Lincoln Tomlinson, Isaiah Wynn, Lucas Patrick, Cody Whitehair. The center we don't need. The right guard, Will Hernandez. James Daniels would be the biggest signing for us. You're talking about a guy that's pretty solid there. He's looking at a 2-year deal for about $20 million. That's not a bad guard to bring in. Right tackle, you got Havenstein out there, Trent Brown. These are older guys. Riley Reef. None of these guys are ridiculous, but you got to try to think, like, could we make this line something? It's not going to be easy. Defensively, you got Sebastian Joseph Day is the big one who would like to play for us. Marcus Davenport, Odie Ingbo's out there, Chauncey Goldston, but who actually wants to play for us? Got some okay players that would like to play for us. We got really no choices there. Defensive tackles, you got Brandon Bryant, Lecky Fotu, Siaki Ika. Those are guys that I would just go, hey, these are space fillers. Put them in there, let them light it up, and let's hope that they can do work in the middle. Just got to hope that they hold the line. Defensive ends, you got some pretty good ones there. Fowler, Hassan Reddick, Ito Gross Matos wouldn't be bad. Joshua Uche, Carl Lawson, that's a throwback right there. DeMarcus Walker. You got some guys that could step up for us, and maybe we can set the tone there. Linebackers definitely need help here, as you can see. Randy Gregory's out there. You're looking at Ojolari, Hoyt, Clay Johnston, Jacob Phillips. So we got some okay players in the linebacker position. Bobby Wags, Levante David, Nick Bolton leaves the Chiefs. That would be a steal and a half. You'd have a dynamic middle linebacker core, but do you blow your wad on that position? I don't know if that's the right decision for us there. You got right outside linebacker Khalil Mack looking for a new spot. He wants to play for us, but do you decide to do that with Khalil Mack, knowing that, dude, we don't have any, like, we already got Bradley Chubb, we already got an injured Jalen Phillips. Like, do you make that decision there and bring him in? I don't know. It would be sweet to see Khalil Mack on this team. Corner situation. This would only make sense if we traded Jalen Ramsey. Still got Kendall Fuller for another year, so it's like you don't try to damage a position just to do it. You try to backfill it, create some depth, and hope that when it's time to make a decision, you can. And in the meantime, you just kind of hold up and make sure all the other positions worked out. And you look at some of these other spots here, right, in the free safety role, and there's some pretty decent players here. And we just got to figure out, are we going to be able to make it work here? Justin Simmons would probably be my favorite in this spot. He is 31 years old. He wouldn't be a bad player to have on the team. I think the concern is, though, you don't usually bring in big vets like that unless your team is ready to win, and he's like the final piece. We are far from that. So I think you want to continue to invest in the youth of a organization there. So maybe look at some younger guys or guys that aren't going to break the bank for us, and maybe you make it work. We bring in someone that's from our division, right? DeMar Hamlin. This guy's not bad. 73 overall, 27 years old. He's got decent speed, okay zone coverage, decent catching ability. He's got some injury concerns, of course. So you wonder, like, hey, what's going to happen is if he gets hurt, are we going to be able to sustain that? Grab someone like Andrew Wingard, who wouldn't be bad, or Derek Forrest. These are guys that I wouldn't be upset with. Kind of fill in the spots there for now. Strong safety. We gotta work through that. Definitely need it. But Richie Grant from the Falcons wouldn't be bad. I think I'd be cool with someone like that. Isaiah Polomao. I was a fan of him coming out of school too. Bring in a vet like Deron Harmon if you needed to. Jamal Adams wouldn't be a bad, guy to just have. on the roster there. Boyer would like to come back to play for us, so we just got to work through it. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson would like to play for us. My only concern about that is, again, we have him. We worked the DB group. Would that be enough to keep everyone together? And with $24 million in cap space, do we even have enough to actually do anything here? I'm not quite sure, man. We got 43 players on the roster right now, which is kind of insane. I actually wanted to check something too. How many freaking draft picks do we have? So we got 1, 2, no 3, 2 5s, 2 7s. Ooh, so with the Dolphins, right? I wonder if we start trading back in the draft to just accumulate more picks to help them out. So if we get out of the mid-third, maybe trade and get some picks in the next year, but maybe move back into the late first or early second. That gives us an opportunity to accumulate more picks in the draft. Maybe get another third there. And that could potentially fill in some of the gaps and bring in some decent players. But this is our first draft too, so we don't get a full offseason to really a full season to evaluate these players. So that typically is what happens too. Anytime a new regime comes into a team, everyone expects them to draft perfectly. And I mean, people could say, "Oh, look what the Commanders did." I mean, it's how do you miss on Jaden Daniels? You know what I mean? Or Drake May. You're not going to miss on those picks. The rest of the draft, who knows how they did? Who knows if they're going to be guys that are really going to help that team out over time? And that happened with the Giants. My team, we didn't start drafting well until the third year. It took 2 seasons for us to kind of figure our crap out. So. That's how things get really bad, is if you don't keep continuity in a team, you leave room for really bad mistakes. So I'm open for us, right? This is a video game, so maybe the first draft we don't do so well, but maybe the second draft we kind of light it up, and that could be something we decide to do. Maybe we start trading some of these picks for future picks so that next offseason we're ready to go. But if we do that, I got to fill this roster up now. So here's the decision I'm going to make. I think our strat for this game, for this series here, and for this team specifically, is we're going to probably try to fill as much of this roster up with free agents as I can. I'm going to try to make sure I fill in some players that could help now, and then try to use the draft to move back, accumulate picks, and hopefully get more future picks for the next draft so that we're locked and loaded. If anything, we can leverage those picks for the next season to even grab potential players on the block that might be out there to build up this Dolphins organization. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to work on this, and hopefully we can get the right players in there and get it going. But you will see the results right after this. So knowing where we're at from a cap perspective, I'm thinking about restructuring certain contracts. One of the guys that I'm thinking about is Bradley Chubb. Bradley Chubb here, he's about not the craziest of OVRs, but the guy still produces when he's out there. I think when I look at a player like Chubb, he is, he's a guy that is 29 years old. He's got a couple more years on his contract. The way I look at it is, as the cap continues to move up, we have an opportunity to where, what if we restructured his contract, they split the 6 years, they split the $6 million into the next 2 years, and we decide to cut him maybe in his last season of his contract, and that'll still give us some room there by that point. I'm trying to figure out how to fill in space there, and Bradley Chubb is the only contract that I could see that we could potentially restructure. When you go over to the salaries, you can only restructure players that are about you can restructure after 2 years of their contract. I believe it's 2 years of the contract remaining. Yeah. So once a player has been restructured, once a player has a contract, let's say a 3-year deal, you can't really restructure it until the last year, which really wouldn't do much for you. So it's usually contracts that are 4 years or more. So Ramsey, I can't restructure his until next season. Waddle next season. Tua next season. So like Chubb is the only one that made sense. I mean, I could restructure a kicker, but I'm not trying to do that right now. Everybody else just doesn't really make sense to restructure based on the crap that we got to deal with right now. Because we are hurting, folks. Like, this is crazy how much problems we have right now. So I wanted to make sure we did that. That's the key part right there. And hopefully this will set us up better for the free agent market. So here are the free agents that we picked up. This was kind of insane. Didn't expect it. But we ended up grabbing some pretty good guards here. James Daniels, he's 27 years old, able to bring him in. He's got good awareness on him, issues with some injury potential, but we didn't have to pay a whole lot to bring him in. It cost us $18 million, $10 million fully guaranteed. I thought that was pretty good. Brought in a vet, Laken Tomlinson, who's 33 years old, to play left guard. So again, this is about trying to protect our QB while we can. Great awareness. Has some injury concerns. When he's injured, he takes a little bit to recover, but that's not a bad move there. This one was pretty interesting here, right? He has been kind of traveling everywhere because no one knows how to use him. Isaiah Simmons, he's projected to be a freaking strong safety again. 6'4", 238. The way I kind of look at it with somebody like Simmons is that we could leverage him here or potentially have him play sub linebacker position and help us out in that space there. So we're going to have Simmons play as much as possible. He was not available to us. We tried to sign him in the second stage. He did not accept it. So we were able to get him in the last stage, and that's why I only could give him a one-year deal, but it's $3 million to bring him in. Darrell Taylor, I'm actually a fan of this guy. I think he's really bendy off the edge, and I think that can help us on the defensive line. 28 years old, do infuse a little youth there. Free safety, Derek Forrest, cost us about a little less than $4 million, but it's a 3-year deal, so very cheap to kind of help build out that DB group there. I couldn't find anybody that was really exceptional, so we brought in Cameron Fleming to play left tackle. I think that's not a bad move there. We brought in Bo Melton coming over from the Packers, 5'11", 189, similar height and weight than our other receivers there. So I'm like, hey, more speed, more ability. Maybe he can set it up there. I was trying to find space fillers on the D-line, and Lecky Fotu is one of them, 6'5", 334. Didn't cost us a whole lot of money, $1.5 million for a year. Lorenzo Carter, good veteran, former Giant. In the past, went to the Falcons. Got him for $2.6 million for 2 years. Dude's still pretty fast, and it's about depth and special teams there, along with Julian Okwara, who only cost me $3.2 million for 2 years. Again, another steal there. Zach Wilson actually went to the Dolphins, so I was like, you know what, let's bring him in. He didn't cost much to do it. $5.2 million for a 2-year deal for a backup. Siaki Ika, another space filler on the D-line there. He's 6'4", 358. No money, so if we find room there to cut, we can. Stone Smart coming over from the Chargers. He cost me a little bit more, $4.6 million for 2 years. This guy's a former quarterback, though, out of Old Dominion, and I thought he played really well as a tight end. So Stone Smart, to me, is a good fill-in there. And this is my sneak pick right here. Ben Van Summeren. He's a middle linebacker, 57 overall, but as you can see, this is the part that I'm pretty excited about, his speed. He's 25 years old, 6'2", 231. Tackling needs some work, but he's 91 speed, 93 acceleration. This is a good special teams fill-in. He's got some issues with injury. It is what it is there, but I'm not worried about that. If he's a backup, it's not going to cost me a whole lot to keep him. And you're talking about a player there that might surprise us and maybe progress. We signed him for a 2-year deal, no freaking guaranteed money. So he's got to fight to make the roster there. Now, as far as across the league, right, a lot of decisions were made in this offseason. Sam Darnold going to the Raiders, Russell Wilson to the Titans, Justin Fields to the Colts, Mac Jones to the Jets, Jameis Winston is a Saint again. That's kind of interesting there. It looks like Daniel Jones got an extension with the Vikings because he's not out there. J.K. Dobbins to the Raiders, Kamara to the Colts, Warren's a Packer, Mason's a, that is truly a Charger move right there. That's a great fit for him. Elijah Mitchell to the Steelers, Cam Akers to the Vikings. Wide receivers, Cooper is a Steeler, Hopkins is a Panther, Williams is a Saint, Allen is a Commander, Cooks goes to the Lions, Lockett is a Ram, Elijah Moore to the Ravens, Slayton goes to the Jets. Wow. Noel Brown, Juju's a Lion, Deontay Johnson's a Raider. Wow. Gesicki goes to the Colts, Ertz to the Broncos, Hooper to the Panthers there. Bakhtiari is a Patriot, Robinson's a Jet, Wills is a Patriot. Why do they? Oh, so they're basically saying, hey, he's going to hold it down for the year, and then Wills will fill it out the following year. Interesting. Jenkins going to the Broncos. Brown is a Bear. Wynn is a Raven. Macari to the Vikings. Ryan Kelly to the Packers. Corbett is a Texan. Shelton is a Ram. Scherf is a Charger. Trey Turner, a Bengal. Reisner going to the Titans. Rob Havenstein is a Niner. Wow. Interesting there. Sebastian Joseph Day, Steeler, along with Onyemata. Deo DeYingbo is a Charger. Una Ford, Jaguar. Chase Young to the Bears. Fowler to the Niners. Omenahu to the Giants. Wow, Devin Bush, whoa, to the Ravens. Hoyt is a Bill. I think that's what happened in real life. I think Hoyt went to the Bills. Wow, David is a Buck. Wagner is a Jet. Bolton to the Cowboys. That is such a crazy move right there. Khalil Mack to the Falcons. O'Shane Zimenez to the Colts. Ward is a Raider. DJ Reed is a Commander. Douglas is a Steeler. Adebo to the Bears. Hilton is a Steeler again. Gilmore to the Seahawks. That's some pretty good moves. Simmons is a Raider. Raiders spent some money. Holland to the Bills. Fuller to the Giants. I think that's a good move there. They didn't have enough, I guess, to pull the trigger there. That's the thing, too. Madden money is definitely different than real life. Chauncey to the Bucks. Hufanga to the Bucks. Don't know what you're doing there. I don't know what you're doing there. I don't know if they're going to... Maybe we switch Chauncey. Free safety. We'll do that for them so that they don't do anything stupid. I think that's a good move for them. That way they get to use them both. You know what I mean? Chin is a Bengal. Bynum is a Niner. Blackman a Raider. Boyer goes to the Texans. Wow, so pretty good moves there for us. We did a lot there. I wonder what that gets us to now. That gets us to 57, so that's nice for us there. So we fill the roster as best we can. Let's see what the best lineup would look like here. So still Fleming would be behind Paul. Daniels is hurt. Out for 21 weeks. Think he'll be back just in time for the season. But that's where we can move Paul over to right guard if need be. Jackson is there, so the O-line is better, I guess. And then with Melton there, I think the 4 wide receivers look pretty solid. The running game, I don't really need to do much there. I think the defensive side is better. Hopefully we'll see some of these guys kind of step up. With Simmons there, I think that could help us out. And that's not bad. Cam Smith, I think, is actually a pretty good corner too. Hopefully works through it. The D-line looks okay, but when you look at the OVR, 81 offense, 80 defense, we did not really move the needle much, but we didn't have the cap to do so, so we got to remember that. Hopefully, we'll see some guys kind of ball out there in the special return spot. Kuhu, Smith, Melton's playing slot there. If there's anything wrong with that. A-chain is everywhere. We'll kind of tweak that along the way. That's not bad, man. Looking forward to this draft. We're going to get to it in just a moment here, and we'll talk through kind of the makeshift board that we're about to make. So we have about 45 players on our draft board. This is just trying to focus on, hey, we did not have enough time to evaluate these guys, so it's about how did they do in the combine? Do they fit with what the needs that we have? And can we set them up on the board here? We were very fortunate though, as we found a couple players here that looked to be within our range. Sidney Callaway, right? We signed Braden Daniels, but there's never anything wrong with trying to grab very high rated O lineman. And Sidney Callaway, 22 years old at NC State, looks to be a top 5 talent type of guy here. He's a heavy set guard. He's going to anchor it down on that right side. He's a good pass protector. So when I see things like that, I'm like, okay, that helps the blind side of our line there with Tua. So I'm like, you can't be upset about that. There was another player I was looking at here, and he also has top 5 talent, and he's later in the round. And this is a guy I'm going to probably draft in the first round there, and that is Mr. Juan Gillislee. He's projected to be in the first and second round, but he's got top 5 talent. When I see something like that, the guy's got all the speed in the world. He's the strongest guard, corner. So you're talking about press capability there. Good shuttle. Everything screams that this is the best player in the draft. So when you see something like that, although it's not necessarily the greatest of needs, if we can draft Juan Gillislee, there's a chance we can trade Kendall Fuller away. Maybe get some picks in the back end, maybe a 4th rounder for him, or maybe a late 5th or something like that. But something in the mid round to kind of help bolster this draft here for the Dolphins. So I'm looking forward to a player like that. When you look at the rest of them here, we got a lot of UDFAs, but you know, one of the other guys I was looking at was a tackle here, and Blake Sherwood could be a guy here that wouldn't be I wouldn't be upset with drafting in the 1st or 2nd round. Awareness, he's pretty much the top tackle in the draft as far as all stats are concerned. His talent overall is going to be like a 1 to 2 round, but I can't. Again, this is about trying to find another player to take over for Teron Armstead that is retired. So we have to think about that. You have another guy here in Dwayne Felix, who's overall is going to be more of a 2-3 round. His combine wasn't that great, but again, you're talking about trying to fill that spot up and have a protector there for Tua Tagovailoa. The rest of the group here, you know, we mixed it up. I found some DBs that I liked. There's some linebackers that are pretty fast and strong. There's another guard there I was looking at, another guard in the 2nd round that we could potentially grab in Kendrick Broyles that would fit us from an OVR standpoint. I really wanted to fill this back end spot because we got a lot more picks in the later rounds to try to help fill in the spaces where we can. But you know, the way I look at it is even the UDFAs, there's a lot of speed in the back end here. 4.39, 4.41, 4.42. These are all things that can really help out our guys here. Jonathan Cologne and Jeremy Barnett. These are just big, freaky dudes that are 6'6", 6'7", 340, and they are really strong. So again, this is about, can we find some guys to develop maybe to help us out in that space and kind of work through it? This is going to be a very tough draft though, folks. This is what we have to remember there. It's not going to be an easy one. And when you look at the mock-ups, you know, as far as where we stand here, they got Preston Kennedy going to the Titans despite Russell going there. Lawrence House as a projected quarterback there. That's what they're trying to mock for them. Sidney Callaway, he's going to make it all the way. You know, he's projected to be a top 5, and it looks like that's the case, so we may not have a shot at him. You got Josiah Barnett there. Brandon Monroe's a top 5 guy going to the Jets, so the quarterbacks are flying off this board here. They got us taking Keelan McCord there. Don't see that happening. George Callaway, and that's not the guy that we were looking at. There's Juan Gillislee. So based on this projection here, we're probably gonna have to take Juan. And we're gonna have to, we can't get crazy with it. I think that's what you got to try to do. Grab him now and you know, let the rest of the board fall where it may. So here we go, folks. We're gonna head into the draft, hoping for a good one here. The setup is now, and hoping our guys can get it done here. So the first pick in the draft goes to the Titans, and that's going to be Preston Kennedy there. Looks like that's no issue. Lawrence House, quarterback, to the Browns. Then you got the Giants going Brandon Monroe there. So quarterback. Patriots are up. They're going to take Sidney Callaway. The Jaguars go after Eli Fletcher there, right end. You got the Raiders going Phil Holt. The Jets are going to take Josiah Barnett. Panthers are going to take Keelan McCord, defensive tackle. So that's who was projected for us to go after. So that already, the board's already changing up. You got a quarterback, Colin Anthony, to the Saints. Big picks right now going quarterback here, and he looks really solid. Mike Hayes, right outside linebacker, to the Bears there. The Niners are up. They're going to go Samuel Halen. That's actually a pretty good tackle there. I wonder if they're going to find a left tackle for them. That's pretty good, though. Then looks like the Cowboys are up first before us, and they're going to take Manny Holiday from Minnesota. So we're up. This is one where you just try to get to the freaking top of this thing. You get to the podium, show what you want immediately, and don't even sweat it. Juan Gillisley, he's a zone corner. Like I said, we have an opportunity to start him probably immediately, but you get him out there now and you make it roll. So the pick is in, and the Dolphins' first pick in the Xavier Klein reign will be Mr. Gillisley here. This guy's got all the speed, all the strength to be a generational talent. Alongside Ramsey could be a good move for us, and rebuilding and retooling this defense. A+ ranked in True Value, number 5 in True Value. We drafted him at number 13. He has all the freaking ability to be the dog here. 94 speed, 95 acceleration. Everything screams amazing. So I'm glad we made that move there. So knowing that, right, I want to see, could we trade away Kendall Fuller now? And what could we get, right? Could we get something for Fuller? And he's probably one of our highest rated players on the team. He's 10 years in the NFL right now. He'd be a slot guy. I don't really need another slot guy. I'd rather just draft another corner later on if possible. But I think that's the move there. And when we were in their draft, that would never happen there. Bucks, Commanders, Eagles are trying to give us like a second next year. Future second, fifth, and sixth next year. That is a bag for Kendall Fuller. Panthers, yeah, see again, some of these moves, you're like, we wouldn't do that. Obie Turner, no way. Odafe Owe, no way. Kool-Aid, no way. Like, some of these, I'm like, I don't get it, man. I don't get the decisions there, but this isn't about the specific trade. It's about the teams we'd like to send them to. So I'm wondering if we can take Kendall Fuller. Let's look at the Bucks and let's look at the Cowboys, right? So when you look at, the Bears. The Bears and the Bucks. So let's look at where they're at from a corner perspective. Do they actually need one? So they are short on corners, so they definitely need another corner there. Kyler Gordon and Jalen can play on the outside. Stevenson's okay, but they need maybe some veteranship there. Let's look at the Bucks. Bucks have Jamal Dean, Zion Collins kind of in the interior. They need help there, so I think that could work out for us. So the Bucks were trying to give us some picks. I'm wondering what we can do is maybe go and get a 4th rounder. They don't have a lot of picks. So let's go to the Bears then. If they don't have a lot of picks, I'd rather not try to take some from them. Bears got a plethora of picks. So here's what I'm wondering. I'm wondering if we go, hey, I will take I wonder if we swap 5s and take a 6th this year and like 6 next year. So if they only give up technically 2 picks, but I figure we got 2 5s, so we swap a 5 there. So we give them pick. So we swap it to where we get a 138. We move up 10 spots on the 5th. They get they also give up a 6 this year and a 6 next year. So we get 2 picks this year. We get to move up in the 5th, and we give up Kendall Fuller. That gives us a little bit of cap space there. They get a corner that they need to help them out. I think that's a good move for us. So that's pretty realistic. I don't think you can get anything more than that. But knowing that we have that ability there, you get to trade up. So I guess the clock has been going here without me knowing. George Callaway, Cousins, Hugh Leslie there. So I don't think we have to do much more than that. I don't know if there's any other players we need to trade here. I mean, if we were to trade something like Tyreek Hill, right? If we were to make that move and trade this guy, this would cost us a ton of money. He's got 2 years left on his contract. Ramsey's got a couple years left on his contract. Do you make that decision now? Oh man, he's got a ton. Dude, we can't trade Ramsey. I think Ramsey's going to be fine with where we're at, but do you make the move and you send Tyreek Hill out of there with this team? I mean, he'd still be like a 2nd round pick. And I think that could be pretty nasty, but I don't think there's anyone else I'm willing to trade yet. I think we got to be okay with that. So we made some moves. We got about 2.8 million in cap space now, which is nice. And what we're gonna do now is just kind of skip and get us to the next pick here. I'm not too worried. I don't see myself trying to trade up here. So we're up, and let's see what picks are out there. So we grabbed a corner, right? We got to think about what's out there. There's a ton of players still on our board. And I'm not too worried there. Let's look at what we got on the board here. So we still got some players that are still considered like early 1st round, 2nd round aspect there. And then you fall into the 2-3. I think if I'm going to do anything here, I want to build up this O-line, and Kendrick Broyles could be the guy here. He's 6'4", 326. He's got good pass block. Awareness needs work, but while he's behind Daniels, he can learn. And I think that's not a bad situation for us there. Take an O-lineman, got to be happy with that. B-, I guess he's 38 ranked. We drafted him at 45, so right within that range there. He's got all the attributes to be something, good potential to be a good guard. Maybe not a great guard, but a good guard. And you got to be cool with that. So we made that move there. We're going to go ahead and skip now. We have a pick in the 3rd round. So this is the thing too, we don't have we actually didn't have a 3rd round pick. We have a 4th round, so we skipped a ton right there. So a lot of talent has fallen off the board for us, but again, this draft is not about trying to succeed now. It's about setting us up to be ready for the future there. We got a couple 2nd and 3rd rounders here. I think that's something we gotta be okay with trying to take a chance on. You got Dylan Watson, ran a 4.35 there. It's not too bad. 4.42. I mean, we're going to take a chance. I think I would go after a left end here in Morris. I don't think we got anybody that's got any hidden talents anymore. I think this is the guy I would go after, Morris Clark. He's pretty much an athlete, strong as heck. He's not really great from a agility standpoint, but at 6'5", 268, he's a big dog. Finesse move's not really there. Got some capabilities, but you gotta roll with what we got. We're in the 4th round here. Now I'm wondering, right, what if we were to trade back and maybe get some future picks along the way? Could that work out? Maybe move further back there. So the Browns would give us a future 4th and a 7th. Bucks would give us just a swap of Mini, would give us a 3rd next year. Seahawks would say, hey, man, we'll give you a 6th this year, a 7th this year, and a 4th next year. I think the Seahawks is probably the bigger bag there. We can get another 7th round pick from the Raiders and a 4th next year. They would give us 2 5s as the Niners. Falcons say, hey, man, we'll give you 5 this year, 5 and a 7th next year. And the Eagles said, we'll give you a 3rd next year. The Eagles going all in. And I'm wondering, right, what's probably the best decision here that could really help us out now. And I think with the Seahawks, because we got some 5s, I wonder if we get a 6th and a 7th. Well, that's a 4 and a 7th next year. I think that's a good move for them. I want to get a pick this year, and I think if we get a 6th this year, but we get a 4 and a 7th next year, that's probably a good move there. I mean, the Eagles one's enticing, but I think we just load up in the 5th round. We get another 5th from the Eagles this year, and then a 5th and a 7th next year. The Falcons one's kind of clean too, but the Seahawks one's really intriguing, because if we can get, like, even if it's a late 4th, that's not bad. We get a 6th this year, get a couple more darts to throw at the board there in the later rounds. That wouldn't be bad. 2026 4th and 7th. I think I'm gonna do. I think this one right here with the Seahawks. We're gonna move out of the 4th. Oh man, no. I'm like, man, these guys are really strict on our picks here. We get a 5th and a 7th next year. I think I'm going to do Atlanta, because I think Atlanta has potential to crap the bed and be like an early pick. So we're going to move out of the 4th. Let's see who they take before we move on. They take Walter Fisher. So I'm cool with that. So let's move on. Let's get to the 5th. This draft is not the greatest for us, but it's okay. So we got 2 picks here in the 5th round. This is where I'm like, okay, let's try to fill in this roster here. When we look at some of these guys, looks like we still got some 2-3 players here. Let's look at the combine. Watson's a little older. Shuttle's pretty good there, but look at Phillip Smith. Phillip Smith looks good too. 4.42. You guys are weak, dude. I mean, the fact that he's fallen here still in the 5th round, I think you try to take him now. This is the player we wanted in the 4th, and we take him in the 5th. Let's see what we get there. 287. He did not good well. Shows good anchor, strong push. Struggles to get off blocks, but I'm fine with that to a certain extent. Man, that is a horrendous pick by us. But I figure we move back, we still get the guy I want. I can't be upset about that. We're coming up here. We got 3 picks in the 5th round right near each other, so I think you got to try to see if you can hit a home run here. Marvin Macklin. Thought I had him on my board, but I guess not. I think these were the guys that were pretty quick. 4.43 in Devin. Yep, and this guy is okay. Got here Roman Goodwell. Strong as heck. 5'11". Good burst. I think Henry Armstrong from Georgia Southern could be pretty clean right there. The playmaker. I don't know why I don't have all these guys here. These guys are projected to be pretty solid, but not showing up on the board as well. Jatavius Truman, pretty good vert as well. Decent on the broad jump. Shuttle shows he's pretty freaking slick. 5'8" out of San Diego State. That's my alma mater there. We got to try it. Let's take him. Jatavius Truman, 287. Golly, bro. Oh, 112. 112 in true value. We drafted him 141. Okay. Reliable, contested catches, fast enough, serviceable hands. 93 speed, 95 acceleration. There you go. Whew. I thought we wrapped the bed there. We got one more pick here in the 5th round. This was part of the Kendall Fuller trade. where some of these picks there. So we got a end that I'll probably move over to right end to kind of fill that gap there. But where are we at, right? Got a strong safety here that looks pretty solid. Redmond looks pretty good. You got another wide receiver that looks pretty good right there. And our picks start to move further and further down, folks. Phillip Smith out of Utah. I mean, you got a right end right here, power rusher. It's day 3, and you don't get upset about it. 22 years old here. Dude's strong as heck, but his combine was all right. He actually did better in the pro day. That shows something there. And I think we can wait on him. I'm really thinking about this because I don't want to. Ooh, look at this guy right here. He's not on he wasn't on our border initially, but look at this guy. Quincy Moss, 6'5", 219, 4'5'3", decent for that height. Pretty okay in the strength range. He's pretty much a north-south kind of guy there. A spec catch. Quincy Moss. Marginal acceleration, but Quincy Moss could be a guy I'll check out too. I think I'm going to trade. We drafted 2 picks there. Maybe we trade back. Try to see if we can collect a little bit more comp for next season. So a 2026 5th and a 7th still's on the board for the Browns. Jackson says, hey man, we'll just move up, but we'll give you our 5th this year and a 7th. We can get a 4th from the Vikings now. Look at this one. We get a 6th and a 7th and a 6th next year. 4th from the Commanders. I think 2025. I think man, I think if you can get a 4th rounder, I think you do that. Get a 4th rounder next year. I think again it's about trying to set us up to try to grab some really good picks next season. In this series too, we'll try to emphasize a little bit more about the scouting, just like we're doing in the recruiting for the San Diego State series. All right, so players continue to be available here. Got Dylan Watson still out there, right? These are pretty good players here. Dylan Watson, a 4.35. You can't teach speed. Do you go for it here? Is this the guy you go for? Another speedster there to help your team out in the 6th round. I think you can do that. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. 24 years old, a little older of a guy, but you try to retool this defense. How are they from a special team standpoint? Can you return? C to F. Maybe he was a return guy, but we got McKenzie. I mean, his drill's pretty solid. His route running could be pretty good. I mean, we don't technically need more wide receivers. But at this rate, really, again, it's about throwing darts, man. I think this is about trying to fill this roster out with players that could make a difference, and we'll see what happens in the preseason. So I don't know why they're cheering us on. This is a 6th round pick here. I guess they're pretty pumped about it. I don't know why. 133 in True Valley. We drafted him 173. So this guy's got hidden div. There you go. Dylan Watson falls into our laps. We'll take it. I like it there. So this is where too I'm definitely considering making some moves here. Let's see what we got. We're in the 7th now. So we're in the 7th now. And we got a couple picks here in the 7th. And this is where I would like to take a chance on some O-linemen. You know, we got a lot of UDFAs out there and things like that. You know, you got Bobby Poole. I'd be cool with that. But they're... You know, I'm trying to think about these O-linemen, these tackles here. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to take a right end. Bobby Poole, 6'5", 315. Pretty much an athlete everywhere. His speed's not the greatest, but at 315 pounds, I don't expect him to run under a 5. But everything else screams like this guy could be really solid. A stamina, potentially C on the block shed. I think you'd take a chance here. 7th round pick could work out for us. You know, I think that helps us out there. And maybe we grab some UDFAs. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Maybe that's what we'll do with the O lineman, because there's still a guy that's out there that's projected to be a second, third rounder. I think you take him for this next pick and you'd be okay with it. The 278 in true value, we drafted him at 202. Needs work on developing his stuff, but I can't complain, man. I think that's still a pretty good situation for us. There needs, you know, we're fulfilling some stuff and they're on our board. You got to be cool about that. Let's see what else is out here, folks. But this is the big freaking shocker here. Smith. Juwan Smith is still out there. 6 foot, 214 out of Tulsa. He is still out there. Why is that man still out there? It doesn't make any freaking sense why that's the case. It's really surprising. When I look at some of these guys, I got to think about who's still out there. And Tevon McLaughlin, 439, slot corner, not strong at all for a slot. You got Phillip Smith still there, 441. This guy is still pretty freaking good, man. I don't know why they do not want him. We got to retool our group. But man, this is kind of nuts. Byron McManus. I think you take a shot on him, man. Why not? Like, he's a scheme fit too. You roll with it. 6 foot, 6'1", 212, 23 years old. Everything about him screams not great. Now I'm wondering, right? How's his carrying ability? Could you convert this guy into a running back? Because his route running and stuff isn't that great, but he could still catch the ball. So I'm wondering if we're going to swap this guy to a running back. I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to take Phillip Smith, have this guy be a running back. Maybe he competes there. So we're going to switch his stats after this draft. And I think this is a pretty decent move there. Xavier Klein finishes his first draft as the head coach of the Miami Dolphins. Not necessarily the greatest of stat lines there, right? We got to respect that. But at 113 in true value, we drafted him at 205. He just kept falling. And this is what I'm saying here. I think we can probably convert this guy over to a running back. So that's what we'll probably do at this time there. We're going to go ahead and end the draft there. Some reaches, some finds. I think we did a good thing there. But let's check out the recap. Where does everyone stand from an OVR standpoint? There it is. Juan Gillisley, 77 overall. I think this guy screams incredible there. I just want to get his equipment set up. I do not want to know his talent. He's a lefty too, so that's kind of cool. I'm left-handed myself. Let's see here. So let's go to apparel. That's actually not bad right there. Okay, all right, we'll discard the changes there. I think that he's fine in that spot. 73 overall, right guard. Normal dev, unfortunate there. But this is a guy that can kind of hold it down if need be, if Braden Daniels gets hurt, and we kind of keep building up that O-line there. We picked up a 64 overall Morris Clark. This one kind of hurt a little bit, but not a bad start. 68 on the power move. His injury concerns, that's what it looks like, but he's going to be playing depth. Maybe he'll step up down the road there. We drafted, so we didn't have picks in the 3rd or 4th round. We grabbed Truman here. Jatavius Truman, Norm Dev, but he's a 70 overall. Pretty good speed. Kick return is there too, so if we need that isn't a bad move there for Jatavius Truman. And then we snagged up Dylan Watson. I thought this was a good move here. Hidden Dev. He's 24 years old. He can already start off at kick return. Has some issues with stamina and toughness, but if you have it in some of the sub packages, I go, hey, why the heck not, man? See if he can ball out there. Then we went out and grabbed a right end here in Bobby Poole, 64 overall. 70 power move, 70 block sheds. So that tells me like, hey, this guy actually could be a Zach Sealer fill-in if need be. So I'm cool with that. And then wide receiver, Phillip Smith. He's a 70 overall, 6'1", 212. What's his carrying like? 70 carrying. So he's actually not a wide receiver-esque. His route running is actually not that bad. Kick return is there, so we can have him play kick return if need be. Let's just check to see. What if we moved him to running back, right? 70 carrying isn't the greatest. But what if he was a running back? What would that look like there? He'd be a 73 overall running back. 73 overall running back. You'd have to work on his carrying, but this is a guy that could be kind of like that joker back that, you know, Cordell Patterson was in the league. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that. We'll have him kind of roll with that. He'll be behind Mostert and stuff, so it's not the end of the world there. So we snagged up 7 players to fill out this roster. I think there's some pretty good finds here along the way. When you look at our competitors, right, how did the Jets do? The Jets grabbed a 73 overall Josiah Barnett, a right outside linebacker, hidden dev. So they improved their team quite a bit right there with that linebacker. They grabbed a wide receiver, an Alex Robinson, hidden dev, 6'3", 228. Pretty good freaking player right there. His release is a 76, so that's a pretty good step right there. He's only 21 years old. Oh my gosh. Jets might have found a dog there. Brendan McKnight. They had quite a bit of picks on their end. Patriots, what did they do? They grabbed the best. This is the guy who was on our board. 81 overall, folks. Oh my goodness. The best guard, probably the best talent in this entire draft there. 6'3", 307. Great decision right there for the Patriots to build up that O-line once again. Then they snagged up a DT, Norm Dev, but he's a 76 overall. They drafted like dogs, dude. They balled out. 75 overall, third rounder here in Emmanuel Moreland, 6'3", 237. Oh my gosh, the Patriots went crazy, dude. So that's not a bad move there. Now let's see, what did the Bills do? Bills grabbed Justice Keys, hidden dev, 6'5", 301. Kind of rebuilding that interior line there. That's not bad. They actually did exactly what they did in the draft, pretty much in real life. Went defense, all defense. Their offense is incredible. You retool, reload that defense now, and you hope some of this stuff sticks. That's pretty good right there for them. Now, as far as the NFL is concerned, the best overall player in this year's draft was Callaway, followed by Tavares Pratt, who was a 78 overall. This guy is pretty good, but he's a norm dev, so I think we struck it right there in that grab. Callaway is a 78 overall. He was drafted right after us, normal dev. So again, I think we did the right thing. We grabbed the best player, and he fell to us. So you got to be happy about that. And he's a hidden dev. So it looks like Manny Holiday was snagged right before us. He had the hidden dev, 5'10", 209, 92 speed, 95 acceleration. Wow, but his toughness is bad and his stamina. So what are you going to have him do? If he's not going to be able to be out there for too long, does that help you out? And we snagged up Gillislee, who to me is probably the best player in the draft. Like 6 foot, 201, 94 speed, zone coverage is there. His toughness is kind of rough, but his injury and stamina are there. So I got to be happy about that. I think we did all the right things there. That gave us some opportunity now where we have 63 players on the roster. We still have to kind of play this by ear there, folks. So like we got a lot to work on there. Definitely looking forward to this. I hope everyone has a good rest of your day. If you like what you saw, please drop a like, leave a comment, tell me what you think, and most importantly, subscribe to keep up the series. Have yourself a good one, and for now, fins up.